The info space in 2026 is headed into a transition phase, and if you're watching this video right now, you probably caught it at a really good time. Many coaches and mentors are changing up their offers to stay ahead of the curve, and if you haven't seen all the changes already, then this video is going to show you everything. And so to understand why there is such a big transition within 2026 for the info space, we have to look at 2025 and what happened there. I just have like this little research document. I based it off of some of the bigger names or the bigger courses or business models that we see in the info space: dropshipping, Amazon FBA, SMMA, high ticket sales. These are probably the bigger types of business models that we are seeing right now. These are a combination of all of them together, and it's pretty generalized as far as the information goes, but they're all pretty similar, right? Courses all have an outcome, which is to help you make money. We can look at what these statistics are showing as success rate, which is 1 to 5%, ever make it a full-time income. Most who profit, they only earn a few $100s a month. The average total spent is about 5K plus, and this is across like 3 to 7 courses before quitting. Many people spend over 10K, including tools and ads. We'll say 5K across 3 to 7, just because some people might start off with a $30 course, then they moved up to a $100 course, and then they got sold on a $5,000 course. We'll just say 5K plus in total. The quit timeline, 3 to 6 months. Most give up right before traction begins, and real results take 12 to 24 months. Most people just give up after 3 to 6. Like I said up here, 3 to 7 courses. This is about the average that a buyer purchases, I guess, before permanently quitting. Let's look at what happens if 100 course buyers end up buying a course. It's really easy to say 100 just because you can kind of look at it as percentages, kind of like what I did here. When 100 people buy a course, 72 people never finish the course. Only 40 people try to implement it. 18 people ever make any money off of it. And only 3 to 5 reach a consistent income. And I would say it's even less depending on what business model. Like I said, this is across 4 different business models. Only 3 to 5 ever reach a consistent income. And so when we also look at this, you have to realize the quit timeline has a lot to do with it. And so the reality is, you can watch 40 hours of video on how to dropship, but if nobody helps you set up the automations, find the first products, and get the system actually running, you're still at zero. And so what most coaches have to realize is that buyers have really figured this out in 2025. They're not really skeptical on the information, but they're more skeptical on the information that leaves them alone to figure out all the hard stuff or the hard parts of a business. Let's have a look at info in 2025. This was really the coaching boom. We saw everybody want to put out a course. Everybody who even had a little bit of a skill set and maybe were only making money for like a year or so, they want to put out a course now. You can look at it as the new gen putting out a course, the old gen putting out a course, whoever it may be, they were trying to offer something to you in the form of a mentorship. These are just some of the, I guess, bigger names that we are probably all familiar of. What was the aftermath of all of this? We had way too many coaches who were offering mentorships or offers that were decent, informational, but that's pretty much it. Since they had such a big name, they were able to get away with charging, mid-ticket prices, high-ticket prices. I would say on average, maybe like 4K. What happened was word started getting out that they were course sellers. And when we saw maybe 2020 to 2021, during like all this COVID stuff, there were a lot of people selling courses then because you just sat home all day. You couldn't go out and you wanted to learn how to make money. So you had a lot of time to yourself. And we saw a lot of course sellers get very popular in this time period. For example, like Iman Gaji, right? He was able to capitalize on that. Now he's quote unquote noticed as the course seller final boss. We're kind of getting back to where it slowed down for a little bit, where we didn't see as many coaches or gurus or mentors. Now going up into 2025, this is where it started to take off again. And so my prediction is that it's going to start to slow down as far as the amount of people taking on courses, but the actual courses are going to change themselves. Everyone went with the course only model. All these courses were really informative, but very low interaction. People paid for the info, but you can only achieve so much with a course. And this led to a huge gap. And so the courses gave them the knowledge, but left them alone to figure out the hard part, and they either stopped buying or they started demanding more. And I guess they just didn't see the value for what they were getting. And so we're already starting to see the transition. If you guys know who Charlie Morgan is, basically he's an 8-figure entrepreneur and he is a coach, mentor, whatever. He recently announced that he's starting a marketing agency. I'm pretty sure he's going to help other info business owners scale. I don't know how much it's going to be as far as like his hands-on work into the business, but it's either going to be more of a consulting model. He's consulting a lot and has a little bit of business operations implemented into his clients' businesses, or he's going to go just full on do everything, full stack marketing. He's moving towards this, and I think a few of these other guys are probably going to move towards it. I'm going to assume Brez is moving towards it just because he announced that he's no longer going to be offering his elite roundtable, which is kind of like his high ticket clientele mentorship. There's going to be a lot more of this information plus implementation kind of thing going on, and I call this an outcome stack. So less sales and higher pricing, it's going to be a lot easier. No more maps, more handholding. They're going to have less people that they can work with, but since they have really good marketing, they're still going to be able to bring on people. The higher pricing just means that they're going to do a little bit more. It's going to be a lot less course seller like, more so a hybrid info slash agency model that they're going to run. We can obviously look at the pros and cons of everything. The pros are that it's going to be a more personal experience with the students. It's going to have a lot more implementation. There's going to be higher overall success rate. It's also going to make it a lot easier to sell because your proof gets real, your price goes up, and your reputation does the selling. Brez could offer it at 10K, but since he has so much less people than what he would typically take on, let's just say instead of 50 people in a month, he brought on 10 people. And within those 10 people, you got to work a lot closer with these guys and they have way better success rates. He can go ahead and charge 15K, 20K if you wanted to in the future. Like I said, you can justify or you can charge significantly more, and this justifies a premium. The cons is that it's going to be a bit more work on your end. Their results are directly tied to your ability to assist them, since this is going to be a lot more one-on-one, and there's going to be a lot more upfront setup. With this model, you'll probably have to bring on more people on your team. And so how will this actually look like? When you think of different courses and mentors, they obviously already have like an implementation type of offer within it. So like, let's just say something that's very popular. We look at drop shipping, for example. When you get on with a drop shipping mentor, they go ahead and say, yes, when you come on with me, I will go ahead and find you your first 10 winning products. That's cool and all, but what are you really gaining from that as far as like the knowledge? You're just getting thrown all these things to your face without knowing what you need to look for within these types of products, or how to actually run this specific tool to find these products successfully. And so that's the thing that I don't want you guys to misunderstand when I say there's going to be an implementation model, right? This has been going on for a very long time where there's extras or tools or quote unquote done for you type of offers. This is going to be a lot more done with you, I would say. And so done with you is going to be a very, very important role. We're getting a lot of people who want to get into online business, but don't necessarily know what they need to do. Maybe they already started a little bit. They just need the hand holding now, like I said. With SMMA, right? We can look at the old model. Probably had a course, some ad copies, the scripts, and weekly group calls. If you packaged all of this, somebody could probably say, yeah, I'd be willing to pay like 3K for it, 4K for it. Maybe even the weekly calls or group calls are already justifying that because you get to directly talk to the mentor or whatever. And so the new model is going to look something like this. It's going to have everything that 1 through 4 has for the old model here, but there's going to be an implementation layer of your team running their first client's ads campaign with them live. And so this is something that's super valuable that a lot of people are going to be wanting to pay you for, even if it's just a like one-time, two-time thing. What happens is that they're going to watch it happen in real time, and the knowledge that they have becomes actual experience. Another thing that popped off in 2025 was personal branding. Tons of people want to start personal brands. Iman Gaji happened to do Monetize, which was all about personal branding, or the one thing. If you follow early 2025, it was all about personal branding. And so the old model is going to be something like this. Course, maybe a content calendar template, caption frameworks, content auditing, and there's going to be weekly calls or maybe group calls, community, whatever it is. And they can obviously charge 3 to 4K for it, maybe a little bit more depending on how strong the actual whole offer is right here. With the new model, it would have everything 1 through 5 like it did on the old model. You could do something like have an implementation layer of you and a master content strategist write their first 30 days of content with them and setting up their brand identity, colors, styling, fonts, whatever it may be. Maybe even the type of phrases you use, who you want to go ahead and model your content around. A lot of people are going to find so much more value in that because it's tailored to them. It's personalized. It's one-on-one work, or in this case, you plus a content strategist going in and looking at what they actually need. And so they launch with momentum instead of a blank page. And a lot of people, like I said, are going to find value in that. And so the final verdict is that you're not replacing the course, you're just adding the piece that actually gets them unstuck, the thing that actually drives them forward. The course is going to be there all the time for the informational stuff, the knowledge, but the thing that you really want to go ahead and sell them is that implementation layer. And I know what you guys are thinking. Doesn't adding implementation make this impossible to scale? The answer is really no. The implementation layer is not unlimited, and that's what you have to realize. I know I mentioned that some of these guys are going to be moving into that agency type of build, but for the majority of the info space, they can't necessarily move into an agency because they don't have the team behind it or whatever, or maybe they're just not at that level where they're doing full-on agency stuff. You have to realize that the implementation layer is not unlimited because the deliverable is defined. The deliverable could be something like you set up their first automation, you write their first month of content, or you run one campaign with them, like if you're teaching them how to do SMMA. And so once you systemize what this actually looks like, it's actually pretty repeatable. It's not like you have to make it super tailored. They're all learning the same business model anyways. So like basically the same SOPs, you just have to make sure that it fits into what they're doing or who they're helping. That's the great thing. It's just a deliverable that is defined. And after you get that, you can kind of, I guess, cool off a little bit while still supporting them through the calls or whatever. And so I guess to go back to the main question of everything, is the info space dead? The answer is no. The knowledge only model is dead. What you have to do is stop asking, what should I teach? You don't have to worry about that anymore. You have to start asking, what can I do with them that gets them unstuck in their situation? And this is going to be the biggest needle mover in 2026 when building your offer. This is the part where the offer matters a lot more now than just marketing, because the offer is going to be what's carrying you to be able to charge those really high prices, 5 figures a month or whatever. And so if you're watching this and you're wondering how you can go ahead and add this implementation layer into your own offer, that's something I can help you out with at 6 Figure Operator. We work with coaches, info business owners, course sellers, mentors, and we basically build your whole system out. We specialize in YouTube funnels, and we'll also do your backend systems, create your offer, the implementation layer. All of it is designed so that you can go ahead and create an outcome stack instead of just being another course. And so if you're wondering what it could look like for you, go ahead and book the link below. Or if you're already past the learning stage and you just want everything built out for you, book down below, and I'll talk to you soon on a strategy call. Peace.